touching the sky or holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky. I was born to succeed, not to be a spoke in the wheel. Told myself there's more to this than just waking up when I feel. So I made a commitment to turn my earnings up. Couldn't see myself as an employee that still couldn't. Looked in the mirror, saw a spark in my eye. Knew I had to hustle and stop living a lie. I packed my dreams in a suitcase, took the first train out, headed for the horizon with success is no doubt. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle and go high. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky or holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of What's Holding You Back. My name is Rob McCray from the Business Building Network, and I am so delighted to be with you once again here for our weekly edition of What's Holding You Back, as we are coming to you live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And yes, as we are winding down the year of 2025, we are into the third week, I should say, of December. So it is only fitting that we do our year in review for 2025 at this particular time. So that's going to be the broadcast for this evening. But we just want to welcome each and every one of you for being a part of the broadcast this afternoon, this evening, this morning, depending where in the world you are watching us from. So as you're jumping on board, please leave us a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to welcome you as to being a part of What's Holding You Back. So yes, it's going to be a fun time in which we can look at some of the things that transpired throughout the course of the year, some of those things in which we may be aware of, and some other things in which we may not. But we like to be very versatile and be very well-rounded in all aspects of life. So we're going to go all around the globe and catch up on some events that occurred during the year. And we're going to be sharing that information with you this evening. So sit back, relax, and share this out. Invite a friend so they could be a part of the broadcast this afternoon. Yes, so yeah, it's been another good year, I must say. And yeah, as we are winding down the year of 2025, we're looking forward to bigger and better things in 2026. But it is always good to have a good reflection point in what has transpired as of yesterday so that we can position ourselves to be in a better place for the days, months, weeks, and years to come. So that's going to be our topic of discussion for today. So without no further ado, let us get into it. So I'm going to bring up some slides, and yeah, let's have a engaging conversation. And if you are aware of some of these events that we're going to be sharing, then please, by all means, share some comments. We love to interact with one another and share our thoughts about these different things in which have happened. All right, so our first slide here. Yes, as we had a very fiery start to the year. And if you can recall, the California wildfires started off the year in of 2025 in January. And these were the California wildfires. And they started on January the 7th and were driven by hurricane force winds and engulfed over 23,000 acres of land, destroying large sections of Malibu and miles away in Altadena. The fire devastated communities, destroying over 9,000 buildings and properties. As the fires raged for nearly a month until they were finally contained on January 31st. So, yes, that was a very historic event that started off in January. What a start to the year, right? And yeah, that went on until the end of the month of January, which was January 31st, my birthday. So, yes, that was just one reflection point as we go back into January. And also going on in January, we had the Gaza conflict, unfortunately, as the Israel Hamas ceasefire agreement was announced effective January 19th, which allowed aid and hostages to be exchanged. But unfortunately, that agreement, that ceasefire agreement, did not last long. As of on March 18th, Israel launched more surprise attacks against Gaza, and that brought the ceasefire to a halt. And also in the month of January, we had a newly elected president who was inaugurated on January the 20th. And he is none other than the very controversial figure, love him or hate him, President Donald Trump. And he was inaugurated for his second time in office, but non-consecutive terms, as he is only the second president in the United States history to come back into office without serving consecutive terms. The only other one to do that was President Grover Cleveland, and he did that back in 1885 to 1889 was his first term, and then again in 1893 to 1897. So he was the first president to serve two terms non-consecutively. So how many of you were aware of that? Just a little trivia note there. All right. Okay, so also after President Trump was inaugurated, he immediately issued executive orders for mass pardons and also federal hiring freezes throughout the United States. So that was, we have one more thing that transpired in the month of January 2025, and that was the 1 day ban on TikTok. How many of you remember that? Yes, actually, TikTok was banned for 1 day, which was January the 18th, the day before the deadline. And that was when TikTok was temporarily suspended for services throughout the United States. But the following day, President Trump signed a bill that would grant an extension to TikTok and allowed the service to be restored throughout the United States. And that has been the case so far for the year. And I believe TikTok was bought out by some other entity. But yeah, that's for another day and another discussion there. All right. Sister Yvette, blessings, my sis. Good to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, as we are doing our week in review, we're just sharing some slides of some of the events that transpired. We just talked about TikTok that was suspended or banned for 1 day, but then reenacted. All right, so then we go into the month of February. And yes, the crowning of the champions, the Super Bowl champions for Super Bowl 59, which took place on February the 9th. And it saw the Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. And Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, was named as the MVP for the Super Bowl. And during the halftime show, if you watched that, we had a performance by Kendrick Lamar, and he headlined a halftime show featuring actor Samuel L. Jackson, and it was full of many subliminal messages that he brought forth throughout his music and throughout some of the scenes that were interacted throughout the course of the halftime show. So yes, that was one to really um, try to get a better understanding of what were these messages he was deciphering to us through the halftime show. But yeah, it was a really good halftime show that if you can, kind of figure out what he was saying in those messages, then it really, created some some a lot of engagement, and a lot of people were kind of rubbed the wrong way by it, but I enjoyed it nevertheless. Okay. Oh, all right. So yes. So later on, all right. So that's Kendrick Lamar during the halftime show. So later on in the month of February, we also had a very surprising, real true story happen, which was the reenactment. Well, I shouldn't say that, but a live demonstration, I should say, of Jonah, where a whale actually captured a man at sea and then spit him out. Yes, the man was actually engulfed. His name was Adrian Simonkus. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he was engulfed and released by a humpback whale in Chile, the Straits of Magellan. An event that was actually captured by his father as they were kayaking. His father had the video going, and he was able to capture when the whale actually came up out of the water and captured the man, took him down under, but he immediately released him once he figured out that he was not uh, to his liking or to his appetite, so to speak. So yes, that was uh, incredible moment to actually catch on film. And, it had to be very horrifying for that man to go through that encounter. But, stranger things have happened. So, yes, that wrapped up for the month of February. Let me just check the comments real quick. See a couple of people typing in. Okay. Pastor Fred, God bless you, sir. So good to have you with us. Yes, sir. Good evening, Pastor. God bless you, sir. Yes, as we are doing our week in review, and yes, as you're jumping on board, please leave us a comment. We would love to welcome you to the broadcast. So, yes, we just covered the first 2 months of January. I'm sorry, the first 2 months of 2025, January and February. And now we're going to go into the month of March. And the month of March started off with, oh, yes, those almighty tariffs that President Trump put in place. And these caused for new duty taxes to be put on many different countries. Um, the main countries that were initiated the tariffs for were China, and also Canada and Mexico. And this led to a tariff war going on between these countries, and it is still ongoing until this day. Although the US courts have said that these tariffs are illegal, and they are still awaiting for a decision from the Supreme Court, as the government has opposed these findings by the courts. So they're waiting for a decision by the Supreme Court as to whether these tariffs have to be removed and the money's refunded, or whether they can be kept in place. So that started off in March 4th to be exact. And then as we continue on to into the month of March 11th, we had some launches from NASA, in which the Sphere X Space Telescope was launched, and this was The rocket was launched from California and to create the most colorful 3D map of the universe. So this telescope gives us a broad image of the world, and it's going to put it into 3D effects. So this was why they launched this sphere into space, and it is, just capturing some great images that can be sent back down, and we can see those images as they are being projected. All right. So also there was another launch, and this one was the Firefly Aerospace Blue Ghost. And this became the second commercial lander on the moon. So yes, this one landed on the moon. All right. So that was in March. And to round out the month, okay, going to talk about Sister EVE. Blessings, sis. Good to have you. Okay, so yes, as we continue on in March, we're going to talk about the airstrikes that were going on in where is this? This was in the Red Sea. Okay. So the United States launched airstrikes to stop the Houthis from firing upon the cargo vessels that were going through the Red Sea. And the reason why the Houthis, or the militia from Yemen, was because they were protesting the attacks against the Palestinians. So their meaning was to prevent any cargo containers from coming through their pathway. So in order to have cargo go across to different countries, they would have to go completely around, because if they were going through this part of the Red Sea, then the Houthis would wage attacks against their vessels, and they ended up sinking a lot of their ships. So that's when the U.S. responded, which was on March 15th, and they concluded on May 6th once they reached an agreement. And then the Houthis had an agreement in place in which they would allow the cargo ships to pass through without any more attacks. So those are the things that transpired in the month of March. So now we're going to go into April. All right, let me just change my slide there. Oh, wow. Okay. Yes. So in April, yes, we had a rather amazing event as we witnessed a full pink moon. And this happened on April the 12th. And this was the peak of the Lyrid meteor shower, which happened on April 22nd to the 23rd. So, how many of you were able to witness that? Yes, a full pink moon. I don't recall it, but yes, it is something that did transpire. And yeah, that's a beautiful sight to behold. So, that was the major event for the month of April. And then as we go into May, yes, unfortunately, we had an uptick on the ICE agents going throughout the United States, as there was a self-imposed $1,000 incentive program for any immigrants who were um, self-deporting themselves, right? So this led to an uptick in ICE agents being brought over throughout different parts of the United States. And okay, Yeah, I'm just seeing something here on my screen. Sorry about that. But yeah, this caused an insurgence in ICE activities throughout the United States as they were rounding up more and more citizens throughout all of the different states in the United States. So that was the month of May. And then as we go into June, things started to heat up all across the world. So in June, we saw a lot more interaction going on with the Gaza conflict as the United Nations urged Israel to allow aid into Gaza as the humanitarian crisis had deepened with calls for a ceasefire. And in this call for the ceasefire, the U.S., the United States, and Israel were in opposition for the ceasefire taking place. All right. So we also saw protests all across the world, and especially here in the United States, as there was protests for no kings representing a individual leader as the president for the United States. And it was just a means for the people to come out and display their displeasure with how the government was being run and how the president was trying to implement actions that a lot of people were not in agreement with. So that was one of the big protests that went on throughout the United States and other parts of the world as well. And then we had international protests um, going on, demanding actions be taken against the wrongdoings of the people in Palestine. So that is still protests that are ongoing to this day. But there were some really highlighted events that transpired in the month of May. And also, Israel launched its surprise military campaign with airstrikes on dozens of Iranian nuclear and military targets. And this happened on June 13th. And then the United States got involved, and they directly attacked three Iranian nuclear facilities on June the 22nd. And this was a part of the Iran and Israel war, which was known as the 12-Day War, which lasted from June 13th to June 24th. So, yes, that was a major, major event in the month of June. And I surely hope and wish that, there will be no more bloodshed or actions of war going on amongst those two countries. So now we're going to go into the month of July. In July, we had the floods that occurred in Texas, the state of Texas. And this happened on July the 4th. In Central Texas, a major disaster in the Hill Country that tragically resulted in over 100 deaths. As you may recall, that was the floods that occurred when many kids were at a camp, and because they did not get the warning of the flash flood warnings going into effect in that area, they were completely caught off guard. And once the flood waters hit, they were not able to escape. And unfortunately, many of those kids and adults were um, deceased through the flooding in those areas. All right. So that is the month of July. And as we go into the month of August, the protests continued throughout the world. So we had in Australia, hundreds of thousands march for Palestine. In Sydney, Australia, making it the largest protest ever. And then we had some aid which was dropped off by Canada, which was a wonderful thing to see, as they had cargo planes come into the area and they dropped off supplies to the people there in Gaza, as they were just air freighted over. They attached a parachute to the actual freight, and then once they got over that landmark area, they would drop the freight, and then the people just come out and grab what they could. So that took place in August as well. And also, we want to talk about some of the happenings that happened in the AI world, or artificial intelligence, in which OpenAI launched GPT-5. And this was just a significant upgrade in intelligence, speeding up the process and the capabilities available across ChatGPT, Copilot, and the API, and other artificial intelligence vehicles. So, this specialized version of GPT-5 is for advanced tasks, focusing on complex problem solving, coding, scientific research, and so much more. So yes, AI is, ever advancing, and there are so many things in which you can do with that. And we just finished up our training. We had a 3 week training over the last 3 weeks, the previous 3 weeks, in which we covered some various AI tools and how you can use them for your own benefit. So if you missed the last 3 weeks, I would encourage you to go back to our YouTube channel here and watch any of those trainings on AI tools and how to use them to generate an income stream for yourself as well. So that was the month of August. So now, as we go into the month of September, wow, yeah, that's a beautiful sight to behold there as well. We had a total lunar eclipse, a rare blood moon, and this occurred on September the 7th. But this was only visible across Asia, Europe, and Africa. And this lunar eclipse lasted for 82 minutes. And there was also a partial solar eclipse in parts of New Zealand, Australia, and Antarctica. Mhm. Yes, so that one transpired on September 21st through the 22nd. So that was the month of September. All right. And then as we go into the month of October, we had the US government shut down. The government was closed for business. And this started on October the 1st, and it lasted all the way up to November the 12th. And when the government shutdown happened, that means that many government officials were not being paid, except the ones that worked in Congress. So that was the reason why there were so many flight delays. TSA agents had to go into work and not be paid, and so many other government officials, they were asked to come into work and not be paid as well. Hopefully they got their money back when the shutdown was over. But during that time period, it was very difficult for them to maintain themselves, because the bills don't stop. So whether we're getting a check or not, the bills still have to be paid. So that was a very troubling time for them to have to endure that, as the government was shut down for, I believe it was like 43 days. All right. So after that, we had the National Guard, which was deployed. The National Guard from Texas was deployed into the state of Illinois to aid with the ice raids that were going on. And this was deeply opposed by the governor of Illinois, which was Governor J.B. Pritzker. And this has been going on for quite a few months now, with the National Guard going into Washington, D.C., California, and other states throughout the U.S. But this just situation that we're going through here in the states through this time period. So we're just hoping and praying for the best as we have to endure these situations at present time. All right. So also we had, wow, yes, one of the biggest storms. Well, it actually was the biggest storm to ever hit the island of Jamaica, and that was Hurricane Melissa, which was a Category 5 storm, and it, wreaked total devastation on the island. There, as today, there were reported to be 45 deaths, but the amount of destruction that was done by this storm, it's going to take years, if not decades, for Jamaica to recover from this. So we want to continue to keep Jamaica and the people in prayer over there during this time and season. And this transpired on October the 28th. Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica. All right, so now as we go into the month of November, yes, as we have often heard about global warming and all of the things that this will cause, and as I just stated there with that Hurricane Melissa, those are some of the effects. We're going to see more powerful storms all across the world because of the rising of temperature, the increase in the ocean waters, and the warming of the ocean waters. So, when we get into that hurricane season, it's just going to create an atmosphere in which these storms can become bigger, faster, and more powerful. And they're going to create and intensify and create so much more damage in the areas in which they hit. So those are just some of the byproducts we're going to have to deal with in facing global warming. And it is a reality. A lot of people, don't want to think that it is so, but you know, the proof is in the pudding. The science is out there, and you're going to see more and more storms going on like this because of the effects of what we're going to be dealing with. And in talking about that, so this here is an image of a weakening polar vortex. And this was observed, and it's also going to lead to impacting our weather patterns. So when the polar vortex is becoming more weaker, it's just a low pressure storm that depresses the cold air from the atmosphere down to the earth grounds. And when that system starts to weaken, or there's not as much cold as it normally is, then as you've seen with the previous slide, where the polar bear and his ice glacier, in which his habitat, his normal habitat, they're starting to melt. And like I said, then the sea levels are going to start to rise. We're going to have more and more floods and more more impactful storms when hurricane season come, and typhoons and things of that nature. And it's just going to lead to global effects that's going to eventually impact us all. So we just need to be mindful of that and understand what it is that is truly going on in our environments. So that was the month of November. And as we here get into the month of December, yes, how about those New York Knicks? Yes, as yesterday they won the NBA Cup for the midseason basketball championship. This is not the um, NBA Finals, which will conclude at the end of the regular season, but this is a new tournament they have started, and it's just a mid-season event that they hold, and the two teams can compete for this particular championship. And for this game, it was the Knicks against the Spurs, San Antonio Spurs, and the New York Knicks defeated them to win the mid-season championship and be crowned as the champions of the mid-season cup. So congratulations to the New York Knicks. So happy for you guys, and hopefully they will be able to win a real championship at the end of the year, the NBA season, and hold up that trophy and lay claims to the championship of the NBA. So, yes, that is our year in review for 2025. As it has been a very eventful 2025, to say the least, as we have seen a lot of things go on throughout the year. But we're just hoping and praying for bigger and better things to come in 2026. You know, just, as we go into the holiday seasons, as Christmas is rapidly approaching next week. Wow. Yeah. Next week is Christmas. Can you believe that? Oh, my goodness. Yes. So next week, next Thursday, actually, is Christmas. And then the following week will be New Year's Day. Can you believe that? Time is moving so, so fast. Wow. We can barely keep up nowadays. But yes. So I'm not sure as of yet if we're going to be having a broadcast for next week, which will be Christmas Eve. But if we do, it's going to be a pre-recorded one, and then I will share it at our regular time. Yes, you bet. I'm sorry, but yeah, want to do a little traveling and see my kids, my grandkids. Yeah, brother Rob got some grandkids. Believe that? But yeah, I want to spend some time with them and spend the holidays with them. So yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll definitely be back, and we'll get it going on for in the new year. In the new year, if we don't do it next week, then we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen for New Year's Eve. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, family, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of what's holding you back. Always good to see all of you guys here on the program, on the broadcast. Please continue to share it out and spread the word. And if you have not already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that like button, and also click on that notification bell so that you will receive a reminder each and every time we go live here on What's Holding You Back. Yes, as Sister Yvette says, safe travels, everyone. Have a blessed holiday Christmas season. Yes, yes, yes. You do the same as well, my sis. And yes, to all of our listeners and viewers out there in Facebook and on YouTube, have a wonderful holiday season. Be safe, be merry, and enjoy the company of your friends, your family, and of course, your loved ones. So, we're going to close out this segment for today. It was such a pleasure and a joy to have you with us this evening. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you. I can't say next week. I can't, I can't put a date out there yet. But we look forward to seeing you on our next episode of What's Holding You Back. Have a good night, everybody.
Told myself there's more to this than just waking up when I feel. So I made a commitment to turn my earnings up. Couldn't see myself as an employee that still couldn't. Looked in the mirror, saw a spark in my eye. Knew I had to hustle and stop living a lie. I packed my dreams in a suitcase, took the first train. I'm headed for the horizon where success is no doubt. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle and go high. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. Oh, holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky. Stumbling blocks and they say it's fate. When you burn with passion, won't be swayed. Every mountain, every mile, cover them all with a smile. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle and go high.